The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are reviewing the Seeker cards in the Innsmouth Conspiracy, the 6th Deluxe expansion for the Arkham Horror LCG. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these player card reviews. If you'd like to support the channel and see your name up on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's get started. The first Seeker card in the pack is Cryptographic Cipher. It is a 3-cost asset with an intellect skill icon and the item and tool traits. It uses 3 secrets. It has a free triggered ability, Exhaust Cryptographic Cipher and spend 1 secret, Investigate. Your location gets +1 Shroud for this investigation. It also has an action, Exhaust Cryptographic Cipher and spend 1 secret, Investigate. Your location gets -2 Shroud for this investigation. Cryptographic Cipher takes up a hand slot. I was fortunate enough to spoil this card thanks to FFG, and had very good things to say about it. That free triggered ability is pretty amazing, and yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, I have to agree. After playing with it, I think it's easy to assume that it's like a slightly more expensive flashlight, but it is much better than that. The free action is very, very good. And Seekers have plenty of useful ways of putting additional secrets on it as well. So you can easily use all 3 of the charges and then find an astounding revelation and put another charge on it and get even more use out of it. The +1 Shroud is fine for most investigators that have access to this card, because you're going to have ways to boost your intellect to at least a 6. So I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm actually, as someone pointed out to me after I spoiled this card, I'm actually surprised it even has that action ability on it, because if you're using that action triggered ability, then something has gone terribly wrong at some point in the game, because that free triggered ability to grab a clue for free basically every turn is amazing. And a +1 Shroud is not going to really bother many Seekers who can play this. I mean, you look at Daisy, Mandy, Harvey, they're all starting at 5s, and you'll probably, I mean, this is a good way of sniping those clues at low Shroud locations that are really not, they wouldn't really be worth your time if you're going, say, 5-1 or 5-2, and you've got a chance. I mean, it's barring a tentacle, you shouldn't have much trouble grabbing those clues. This just lets you do that much faster.
Yeah, because when you compare it to something like working a hunch, this is essentially, barring that you succeed at least 2 of them, this is two working a hunches for the cost of 1.5.
Yeah, and like we said, it synergizes with all of those cards that add secrets like Astounding Revelation. There's the Eldritch Sophist that's coming out in Into Deep, the first Mythos pack in the cycle. You've got Enraptured, you've got Truth from Fiction. This even synergizes with Crack the Case. If you, by bumping up that Shroud, then you can play Crack the Case and get even more resources than you normally would with it. It's got the tool trait, so it synergizes with Joe Diamond's Detective Colt 1911s. You can have those out, and this, and then something else, I think. Yeah, it's just it's a really good card. I give this one an Elder Sign.
Yeah, I would too. I think this is definitely borderline Seeker staple material.
Yeah, and 3 resources for them shouldn't be too big an issue. especially with all of the those cards they added in the Harvey Walter starter deck that let you generate more resources. Seekers can do better than most rogues can at this point.
And like you said, it combos with Crack the Case too, giving you an additional resource. So yeah, you're not going to have a problem playing this card.
Yeah, very, very good card. The second card in the pack is Cryptic Grimoire. It is a Seeker asset, 3 resources. It has a wild skill icon, the item tome, and occult traits. It has an action, add 1 cursed token to the Chaos bag. And it also has another action. If there are 10 cursed tokens in the Chaos bag, discard Cryptic Grimoire, record in your campaign log that you have translated the Grimoire, replace 5 cursed tokens in the Chaos bag with 5 blessed tokens. So this one can be played by Seekers, off-class Seekers. It also has that occult trait, so Akachi and Marie can give it a try if they want, although it's not clear yet whether they'll actually be able to use the upgrades. If you upgrade this thing, you can trigger it for free with Knowledge's Power, but man, 10 curse tokens. I guess, first of all, like taking an action to add 1 curse token to the bag is just not worth it. So you're going to need to use all the other tech in this box to add curse tokens to the bag if you're going to hit that 10 before you start pulling them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't ever see a point for using the first action, and then essentially you're playing it and it does nothing, and then you're hoping that you get enough tokens in the bag and then activate its second action and then get whatever reward off of that. I think, comparing this to the other translate or solve the solution type cards, these little side quest cards in Seeker, this is, it's obviously it's hard to judge because we don't know what translating it gives you, but the effect on its face is very underwhelming. Even something like comparing this to Strange Solution, right, where you get to draw a couple cards after you pass that test. This is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, it's without knowing what the upgrade or upgrades for Cryptic Grimoire will do, this one's pretty difficult to judge. When you look at what kind of adding curse tokens to the bag, I mean, you've got the card we're going to talk about in a minute. Deep Knowledge will add 2. You've got Faustian Bargain will add 2 if you've got access to the rogue card pool. There's Tempt Fate that will add 3. And then there's, which is it? Power. What's the name?
Promise of Power.
Promise of Power. If you get that under Amanda, she could add potentially 4 tokens to the bag. If she takes 3 skill tests during her turn and then 1 during the Mythos phase, you could get 4. I feel like you sort of need to, I guess they put that action on there, the add 1, just in case you end up saying stacking the bag and then somebody pulls 1 and then you have to you end up 1 short somehow, and so you have the option at least of saying, okay, I hit 9, so now I've got to add 1 to get to 10, and then I have to take another action to trigger it. I mean, man, oh man.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for what feels like very little reward.
Yeah, and I don't know how would it be possible to pull this off in multiplayer? I guess.
I think it is. I think Amanda and Trish could probably do something with it, but I don't think Trish will be able to even play the upgrade, so I don't think there's much point to that. Unless you just wanted to do it for the sake of doing it. Yeah, it's possible. I think between Deep Knowledge, Faustian Bargain, and Tempt Fate, like, you have enough cards there to potentially do it, but
yeah,
I think without knowing what the reward is, it's hard to say whether or not it's worth it.
I mean, I have seen talk online about people playing multiplayer and playing having multiple cursed decks or multiple blessed decks at the table so they can synergize with each other rather than sort of working at cross purposes. So perhaps in that sort of setting where you've got a couple of decks at the table that are using cursed cards, or sorry, that want to add cursed tokens to the bag would be very helpful. I just feel like you're going to get close on this thing, and then you're going to end up pulling one or two cursed tokens by accident, and then you're going to be set back. And it's not like those, like Deep Knowledge isn't fast, so you're taking actions to play that. Faustian Bargain, I don't believe, is fast, so you're taking actions to play that. Tempt Fate is the only fast card that lets you add those tokens. So I think, like, Strange Solution, it was like you needed to take one action, I believe, to solve the solution. Archaic Glyphs is like 3 actions, 3 or 4, and then the Forbidden Tome from Harvey's deck is like 5 actions, I think, depending on how you whether you can use for Knowledge's power and stuff like that on it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see what this thing does before I stick it in a deck.
Yeah, same.
I'm just gonna give this one a middle of the road 0 because I don't know what it's gonna do. Might be awesome, or it might not be.
I was gonna give it an Elder thing. I don't really see much benefit to this. And then even if it does upgrade into something useful, like, it has to be really useful, which I am skeptical that it will be, given the fact that you have to do so much work just to get it to go off in the first place. I think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that gives me hope on this one is that the upgrades for the untranslated assets have been pretty good. I mean, Acidic Ichor was a staple of Seeker decks. Both Archaic Glyphs are really, really good. The Ancient Stone, those see play in quite a few decks for the damage. So I think the upgrades have been pretty stellar. So I'm holding out hope that they will be also stellar for this one.
Yeah, my assumption is that they're going to work with Curse and Bless tokens, just given the way that this particular Grimoire works.
Yeah, probably sealing them or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe it does something similar to like a Covenant where, when you draw one from the bag, it does something. I don't know. It's tough to say without, actually seeing the cards. So
yeah.
But the reason I give it an Elder thing is because you have to build around actually translating it in the first place. Whereas all the other side quest cards you can kind of just slot into a deck and it's not much of a commitment.
Yeah, this one definitely requires some concerted effort if you are going to translate it. And I just fear that you're going to hit, I mean, you could spend an entire scenario building up to it. And then, like, I don't know, is it possible to dump 10 curse tokens into the bag in one turn? I think you could do it if you, if you had double Tempt Fate plus 2 Deep Knowledges. I think you can do it in a turn. But
maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, Deep Knowledge would give you 4 and would take 2 actions. Tempt Fate gives you another 6, so that gets you to the 10, and then the third action would be to trigger the action on this thing to translate it. But that's a huge combo to pull off.
Yeah, it is. If it had fast, possibly, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this is one we will be looking out for in the upcoming Mythos packs to see if it is any good. The third card in the pack is Deep Knowledge. It is a free event with a willpower and intellect skill icon. It has the insight and curse traits. As an additional cost to play Deep Knowledge, you have to add 2 cursed tokens to the Chaos bag, and investigators at your location draw a combined total of 3 cards. You decide how many cards each investigator draws. This is basically cryptic research, with the exception that it is not fast, and it lets you spread the card draw around to your friends at the table. So cryptic research sticks all 3 cards with one player, but this one lets you be a little more flexible, although it is not fast, which is is definitely a hit against it. And I guess if you're going with cursed tokens, this is one of the few ways to add them in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, comparing this card to like Preposterous Sketches, for instance, is night and day. I think adding 2 curse tokens is honestly not the biggest deal from my experience with this card. The Seeker in the box, Amanda Sharp, needs a decent amount of card draw, and this is a great option for her.
Yeah, this I think I'd gladly exchange 2 curse tokens for 3 cards for free.
Mm-hmm.
That seems really good. I mean, with Harvey you get 4 for free, which is great. This also has the insight trait, so you can stick it in Joe's hunch deck. I mean, he doesn't benefit from the resource cost reduction, but I mean, who's going to complain about drawing 3 cards? I guess like Preposterous Sketches costs 2, right?
Correct. Yep.
So it's free for Joe. So take your pick. But the Preposterous Sketches requires there to be a clue at your location. This is 3 cards regardless of the board state. So
yeah, I think that's what sends it over the top for me, is that the opportunity cost is very low for a very substantial reward, which I really like the design of this card. I think it tells a cool story, of an old man investigating a tome he shouldn't be reading, and then he learns knowledge, but it comes at a cost. I think that's a very Lovecraftian theme. So that it's cool on that front too.
Yeah. And of course you can play this once you've played this out of your hand. Then if you're playing cards like Divermus Mysterious or Eidetic Memory, you can copy it from your discard pile if you need even more curse tokens or card draw to fuel it. So yeah, I think if you're going in on cursed, and we right now, I think Cryptic Grimoire is basically one of the main reasons to do that.
They did spoil the Covenant Seeker card that allows you to get a bonus from drawing curse tokens. But yeah,
right.
Apart from that, we haven't seen anything that interacts favorably with curse tokens.
Yeah, we have seen that one the one Mystic card. Is it Eyes of Chaos, that's coming out in one of the upcoming Mythos packs that benefits from drawing a curse token. So possibly there's some sort of build you could do there with either Daisy or Luke, or possibly Marie as well could use this.
Mm-hmm.
Although she's got pretty strict limits on how many Seeker cards she can include. So
but this card might be worth it, though, just given its, I think, raw usefulness.
Yeah. Well, drawing 3 is not a common thing in the Mystic card pool to begin with. So drawing 3 cards for free seems very good for a Mystic.
Mm-hmm. So what would you rate this card?
I think it's probably an Elder Sign.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This card is very good.
Yeah, it's probably going to see a ton of play over the next, I don't know, into the foreseeable future. I mean, the ability to draw for 3 cards for free without having to worry about whether clues are at your location or any of those other tricksy things that have been slapped on some of the other card draw. This one, 2 curse tokens is not a huge deal, especially if you're not going all in on cursed.
Right, and you just maybe you draw 1 throughout the course of the game, and you fail one test.
Yeah, that's the thing with the curse tokens, right? Is You could play this toward the end of the game where it's just like, I need some cards. I'll worry about like, and you may never draw the curse tokens. You may never see them again. So it's like you're getting this benefit, but theoretically you're going to pay a price at some point, but it's also possible that you're not going to. So you just get all the upside and none of the downside.
Yep.
So yeah, really good card here in Deep Knowledge. The final Seeker card in the pack is Plan of Action. It is a skill with 1 wild skill icon. It has the practice trait. And the following game text: if this skill test is during or before the first action of this turn, Plan of Action gains a willpower and agility skill icon. If this skill test is between the first and third actions of this turn, draw 1 card if it succeeds. And if this skill test is during or after the third action of this turn, Plan of Action gains a combat skill icon and a intellect skill icon. This card gives me a headache. The first time I read it, it gave me a headache, and it still gives me a headache every time I read it. The important thing to remember about this card is that it does, if you commit it during the Mythos phase, it is a wild skill icon, and that is all. Because it only triggers during turns, which only happen during the investigation phase. So basically, if you commit it during the before or the first action of the investigation phase, it's 1 wild, 2 willpower, or 2 agility. So I guess maybe a Seeker Mystic or a Seeker Rogue could use it for the willpower and agility. If you commit it on the second action of the turn, then it is 1 wild skill icon, but you get a card draw. So it's sort of like an unexpected courage, sort of like one of those traditional neutral skills from the core set, where it replaces itself, but you only get the 1 wild skill icon in this case. And then if it's the third or following action, it's 1 wild, 2 combat, or 2 intellect. Again, this card gives me a headache just trying to figure out, drawing this in my hand and then trying to figure out the ordering my turn in such a way as to play it properly.
Yeah, it's definitely word salad on the card here. After you explained it, actually, I have been playing this card wrong. So I assumed that when you attached it to Amanda that you got the additional icons during Mythos phase. So that's good to know. Yeah, definitely confusing to get your head around. The practice trait, I think, is what saves it ultimately. Because Amanda can take it, and then if you're playing Practice Makes Perfect, it's not a bad card. You know,
Yeah.
if this is what you find. But just figuring out the icons and what abilities it has is going to be a bit of a headache when you play it.
So
it's
does
not
it
bad.
How does it work in Amanda when you're, because to me, I guess I was thinking, I mean, Trish is on the card, so I immediately go to Trish. But with Trish anyway, it looks to me like if she's at a location, she wants to be investigating so she can get that auto evade against an enemy there, which to me means I'd want the icons on this reversed. I'd want the intellect skill icons first, not the willpower or agility skill icons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's strange.
And I haven't really dug too deeply into Amanda's deck yet, but I mean, willpower skill icons, unless you're playing a mystic, are rarely matter during an investigator's turn. That's really a Mythos phase thing. So you're getting a couple of agility skill icons, which I guess if you're playing an evasion based deck, that's not bad. So then you would be using this to say evade first action and then investigate afterward.
Yep.
If you had this stacked under Amanda, so you're getting you can commit this 3 times anyway. So you'd get the evade, then you'd get to draw a card, then you'd get to investigate, I guess. So I could see that being decent.
Yeah, again, like I said, I was playing it wrong, and I thought it would give you 2 icons during Mythos phase. So, I mean, I think that being said, I think it's still pretty useful, just because you want like a certain mass of skills in Amanda anyway. So this is not the worst option I think that she has.
Mm-hmm.
And it will sometimes draw you a card, which is pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
I think overall I'd give it a 0.
Yeah, I was leaning either Elder Thing or 0. Elder Thing just because the game text on this card really aggravates me. But I'm not going to hold that against it. I think I'll put it as a 0, and I'll probably end up playing it in Amanda for sure. I find it odd that Trish is on the card, but I'm not too sure whether this is something that Trish wants.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because Trish doesn't really have a way of playing it multiple times unless you draw it with practice makes perfect first action. So, which kind of requires her to build her deck in a certain manner. So yeah, I think this is pretty much just a Amanda card.
Yeah, I didn't actually look at what practiced skills that Trish would have access to. So, but I know
there's a decent amount in Rogue.
There is I mean, you got 3 aces, I believe, is practiced.
Momentum is practiced.
Momentum.
Daredevil.
So there's I guess there's enough options in Rogue and Seeker that she could build around this if she wanted to, with practice makes perfect, and get some decent and it does have that wild skill icon, so you're going to be able to pull it on a skill test. If you do search for it, it is an option regardless of whether what test you're taking.
Yeah, I kind of compare this to Eureka in a weird way, right? Like, it gives you 1 icon and then it gives you an additional benefit, whether it's an additional icon or a draw a card. So I think what saves this card is actually practice makes perfect, and just the fact that it has the practice trait. Other than that, I think it would be fairly niche.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the Seeker cards in this in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Deluxe expansion. Overall, I think the Seekers do much better than the Guardians did. Cryptographic Cipher is pretty amazing. Deep Knowledge is I think is pretty amazing, whether you're going in on cursed or not. Drawing 3 cards for no resources is pretty sweet. Plan of Action is sort of middle of the road, and then of course there's the Cryptic Grimoire, which is hard to judge just because we don't know what it does. It seems hard to pull off, but perhaps, I don't know whether we'll receive any more cards during the cycle that actually allow us to add curse tokens, or whether we're sort of stuck with what we've got right now. So
yeah, it's tough to say. I would assume we would, but we'll see.
So what do you think of the Seeker cards in general here?
I think, like you said, the Seekers made out pretty well overall. Cryptographic Cipher is super good. Deep Knowledge is also very good. You just get so much card draw for so little cost, which is amazing. And then, like you said, Plan of Action is middle of the road, and Grimoire is really hard to judge without knowing what it upgrades into.
That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I am also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.